Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So guys, there's good news and there is bad news, so I shall bring you the good news first, and here is the headline for the good news. Again, court grants Sowore bail. So that's the headline for the good news. Again, court grants Sowore bail. So now let's get quickly into the good news first. A federal high court in Abuja on Friday granted the bail application of the convener of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore. The court, presided over by Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu, noted that the charges against the defendants do not warrant death penalty, hence they can get bail. During the proceeding, human rights lawyer Mr. Femi Falana had earlier urged the court to grant bail to Mr. Sowore and his co-defendant Olawale Bakare on liberal terms. Falana, who is the lead counsel for the two men, contested that the charges of treasonable felony instituted against his clients were baseless, saying that their protest revolution has no offense. Falana also made reference to President Muhammadu Buhari, whom he said had in the past called for a violent revolution like the one that took place in Egypt and was not arrested or prosecuted. His words: in the entire garment of the submission of the complainant, the allegation is that the first defendant, Sowore, was going to overthrow the government of Nigeria through protest. He was not even accused of training people in Ghana like Chief Obafemi Awolowo when he was charged with treasonable felony. In this case, no training, no contact with any soldier. We have shown that leaders of the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, have been calling for a revolution. In 2011, Mr. President called for revolution like the violent Egyptian revolution. In this case, the first defendant wants that nobody should engage in violence. We are protesting peacefully. We submit with profound respect that the use of the word revolution has not been criminalized in Nigeria. When President Buhari called for revolution, he was never arrested or prosecuted. On the other hand, the prosecuting counsel, Hassan Liman San, implored the judge to quash Falana's argument, saying they were not relevant to the bail application. He urged the court to consider the severity of the offense of treasonable felony, which he said attracted life imprisonment, adding that the prospect of such punishment being imposed may jump bail. He also made reference to Nnamdi Kanu, who jumped bail and absconded from the country. Sowore had also earlier been granted bail by an Abuja court which ordered for his immediate release, but the Department of State Services had refused to release him, instead preferring fresh charges against him, including treasonable felony, cyber stalking, and money laundering. His lawyer, Mr. Falana, said the journalist is being held illegally and accused the government of bringing up trumped-up charges against him. So that's the opening salvo in this two-part story that I'm about to bring you. But like I said, it's a good news and not so good news story. So now here is the second half, the other half of this narrative. So here is the headline for that other half. Sowore's bail conditions stringent, Falana laments. So that's that headline. Sowore's bail conditions stringent, Falana laments. So now let's see what conditions has been placed this time around. Remember, they've already taken his passport as part of the first condition. So now what other conditions have they now imposed? So let's get into it. Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, counsel to the convener of revolutionary protest, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, has described the conditions of his client's bail as stringent. Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday granted Sowore bail. As part of his bail conditions, Sowore was barred from addressing any rally pending the conclusion of his trial on charges of treasonable felony, amongst other charges. So now let's just pause there for a moment. So that's not so stringent a condition, because they've said he should not address a rally. That's not to say that he should not speak publicly, because that would then of course curtail his right to free speech to a level that will impinge on his fundamental human rights. So they've not said he cannot speak publicly, but they've said he cannot address a rally. Yeah, that is harsh, but that is not stringent. So we carry on. He was also barred from traveling out of Abuja whilst the trial lasts. Ojukwu granted bail to Sowore in the sum of 100 million with two sureties in like sum. The sureties must be resident in Abuja, must also have landed assets worth the bail sum in Abuja, and they are to deposit the original title documents of the assets with the court. The judge also ordered him to deposit the sum of 50 million naira in the account of the court as surety. His lawyer, Mr. Falana SAN, described the bail conditions as stringent. So now let's look at the other half of the bail conditions. The bail granted was to the sum of 100 million with two sureties in like sum. So I'm not quite sure what that means. So if you have a fuller understanding of that, then please let me know in the comment section. But my understanding is that they want 100 million naira surety and two sureties in like sum. So effectively, and this is my reading, two people with assets worth 100 million naira each to deposit documents of that asset, preferably landed property, with the court as surety to grant this guy bail. They have also additionally asked him to deposit the sum of 50 million naira with the court as part of the bail condition. So now where is Sowore going to get 50 million naira from? I'm sure he's a wealthy man, and I'm sure the funds will be raised fairly quickly, but really it's effectively not granting him bail, really, is what we're looking at here if we're looking at these conditions, because before those conditions will be met or can be met, we're talking about weeks if not months, because first you have to look for people who have those sort of assets to put down, and then those people have to be willing to put it down as well, because if people put down themselves as surety for Sowore, then they immediately signal to the government that they are in favor of Sowore, and if they are in favor of Sowore, then of course they are against the government, and we know that this government is especially vindictive. So the people now standing surety for him will be immediately under DSS supervision, and 6 months down the line you will be hearing their name in the papers being harassed up and down the land. So this is the goings on with this regime. We have seen it repeated copiously, so we know that this is what is going to happen. So finding those two people to stand surety first is the task. Then the second task of course is to then raise that 50 million naira as cash to deposit with the court as part of the bail conditions. So now a very stringent bail condition that this lady has put in place, almost to the point of not really granting him bail, because these conditions being met is going to be a real task, but I'm sure the Nigerian people will be able to rise to it. You'll be amazed at how quickly that 50 million will turn up, because people will just start throwing 1 million into the guy's account, because the whole country now is completely fed up with the goings on of these Malami people. So that 50 million can be raised fairly quickly, but the people that are going to stand surety is a different narrative, because of course, as I said, if you put your head above the parapet in this particular regime, they just sniper you down, they machine gun you down immediately, and they brutalize your life to the end. We've seen this done endless times. Somebody just criticizes them on Facebook, and the person is in kirikiri for criticizing the government. What other job does the citizen have in a nation other than to be critical of the government of the day, especially if the government of the day is the sort of government that we have in Nigeria at the moment? Of course there will be criticism. I mean, why would there not be criticism? I mean, it just beggars belief. Which country on this planet has a population that is not critical of their government? I cannot see or understand this new idea that is being brought up by the B.A.I regime. But then of course we have suspended disbelief with these people, and we've just now thrown our hands up to God to come and rescue us in that country. Conversations in the comment section. I am starting to ramble on a bit. Come tell me what your thoughts are. The bail conditions for Omoyele is now the latest topic of our conversation. But before you come join me to have that conversation, click on the red subscribe button so it turns grey. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of the bail conditions for Sowore in the comment section. So I'll leave you here, join in comments, but here I say peace.